The moment you stop explaining yourself, people will accuse you of being cold. And that accusation is actually the first sign that you're doing something right. There's a belief most of us carry without ever questioning it. The belief that if we just find the right words, speak with enough patience, explain ourselves clearly enough, we can finally be understood. It's the foundation of every difficult conversation you've ever had, every relationship you've tried to save, every time you've laid awake replaying what you should have said differently. But here's what nobody tells you about being understood. It's not a failure of communication when someone refuses to see you. It's a failure of their willingness. And there's nothing you can say that will fix a person who has already decided who you are. Here's the thing about human perception that explains this. People don't see others as they are. They project their own fears, insecurities, and private frustrations onto everyone they meet. All of that gets layered over you before you've even finished your first sentence, which means most people are not actually interacting with you. They are interacting with their interpretation of you. Your real self is just standing there, wondering why the conversation feels so hollow, why your words seem to bounce off a wall you can't see. And the terrifying part, they genuinely believe they know you. Think about the roles assigned to you without your consent. The good son, the quiet friend, the funny one. Once a group decides your identity, every action you take gets filtered through that version of you. Even your growth becomes suspicious to them, especially your growth, because predictability keeps social hierarchy stable. It keeps power dynamics clear. The moment you evolve beyond the role they assigned you, tension begins. You can see it in small things first. You become more confident, and suddenly people call you arrogant. You stop over-explaining yourself, and people accuse you of being cold. You create boundaries, and others quietly begin withdrawing from you. Not because you became worse, because the version of you they benefited from is disappearing. People don't resent your weakness. They resent the possibility that you might outgrow them. Most relationships are built on mutual agreements nobody talks about. I will continue being who you expect me to be if you do the same for me. The moment one person breaks the contract, discomfort begins. This is why so many people feel exhausted after social interaction without understanding why. They think they are tired from talking, but they are actually tired from performing, tired from managing reactions, tired from adjusting their personality depending on who stands in front of them, tired from carrying versions of themselves that no longer feel real. This is the mask developed to survive society. At first, the mask protects you, then it imprisons you, because the more approval you receive for the role, the harder it becomes to abandon it. The nice person becomes unable to express anger. The strong person becomes unable to admit pain. The intelligent person becomes terrified of looking ignorant. Eventually, people no longer relate to each other honestly. They relate to masks, negotiating with masks. That's why so many conversations feel empty even when words are exchanged for hours. Very little truth is actually present. Buried beneath all that performance is a part of you that never goes away. It waits quietly inside resentment, inside exhaustion that makes no logical sense. The more you suppress your authentic impulses for acceptance, the heavier the buried part becomes. Small compromises accumulate. You laugh when something bothers you. You stay quiet to avoid tension. You soften your personality so others feel comfortable around you. At first, it seems harmless. But years later, many people wake up with a strange emptiness they cannot explain, a feeling that their life somehow belongs to someone else. The body remembers what the mouth never said. Anxiety, emotional numbness, sudden exhaustion around certain people, not random emotions. Signals from deep inside trying to warn you that too much of your existence has become artificial. This is why some people feel deeply tired around specific social groups, but strangely alive when alone. Solitude removes performance. for a brief moment. They no longer have to manage perception, just silence. And in silence, that buried self slowly begins resurfacing. At some point, you reach a crossroads. Continue being understood or become real, because the two begin separating the moment transformation starts. The authentic self is unpredictable, complicated, contradictory. Society prefers simpler characters, easy people, readable people, manageable people. That is why the world rewards consistency even when that consistency is false. The person who constantly performs agreeableness is considered mature. The person who quietly suppresses resentment is considered peaceful. The person who never confronts others is considered kind. But beneath many socially acceptable personalities lies accumulated emotional decay. And the longer someone avoids confronting it, the more disconnected they become. This is why certain people suddenly explode after years of silence. Years of adaptation collapse at once. That suppressed self finally forces its way into consciousness. Whatever you ignore doesn't disappear. It accumulates pressure like water behind a dam, and one day the structure cracks. There comes a moment where you stop asking how to make people understand you, and you start asking why you're sacrificing yourself for people committed to misunderstanding you anyway. That question changes everything. It redirects attention inward, not toward narcissism, toward integrity, toward discovering which parts of your personality were built from fear rather than truth. You begin noticing where you shrink yourself automatically, where your voice softens, where your honesty disappears, where your instincts get overridden by the desire to remain liked. And slowly, something strange happens. You stop feeling guilty for protecting your inner world. You stop panicking when misunderstood. You stop exhausting yourself trying to correct every false perception, because you realize something cold about human psychology. Some people need you to remain misinterpreted. Your clarity threatens the emotional advantages they gain from your confusion. Your confidence disrupts dynamics built on your self-doubt. Your boundaries expose who benefited from your lack of them. Once you truly see this, silence starts feeling different. Not weakness, power. The power of no longer needing universal understanding to validate your existence. The power of allowing people to construct whatever version of you comforts them while quietly continuing your transformation anyway. This is where true freedom begins. Not when the world accepts you, when you stop abandoning yourself to keep the world comfortable. Because eventually you realize that being misunderstood is not always a failure of communication. Sometimes it is the natural consequence of becoming someone others can no longer psychologically control. Most people will never admit how deeply control shapes human relationships. Not openly, but unconsciously, constantly, everywhere. The ones who finally see it rarely return to who they were before. And the only way out is to stop asking for permission to become who you're already becoming.